Well, good morning and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another history-making day as part of the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. My name is Rob Howden. I'm the voice of the Mazda Road to Indy. I'm, of course, proud to be able to work with the people on the stage and everyone as part of the Mazda Road to Indy, which is, of course, the only ladder system driver development program like it in the entire world. Joining me here on stage, three very important people in the world of open wheel racing. Of course, to my left here, immediate left, Mr. Dan Andersen, the owner and CEO of Andersen Promotions. Alongside him, John Doonan, the Director of Motorsports for Mazda North American Operations. Of course, at the far end, Scott Elkins, our USF 2000 and Pro Mazda Race Director, as well as the Project Manager for the beautiful new PM-18 that you'll see shortly, as well as the USF 17, which will debut next year, 2017, on the Mazda Road to Indy. And of course, we've had some rave reviews of the testing that's been done with that race car thus far. Just over 6 months ago, we were able to unveil the Tatuus USF 17 at the hallowed grounds of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and that was our second installment of the brand new cars we've been bringing out here at the Mazda Road to Indy. And we're excited to say, I know Dan, very excited to say that we've already sold out of the 35 cars that were initially ordered. We have new teams that want more cars as well. There's potential for even more cars coming in before next year. We also are going to be welcoming 9 new teams to the USF 2000 Championship, which is very exciting. Following the debut of the Indy Lights IL-15 and the USF 17, today is the time that we put the Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tires into the spotlight. For 26 years, Pro Mazda has been a vital step in creating the careers and developing drivers. Some of the top drivers in the sport these days: Marco Andretti, Matthew Brabham, Gabby Chavez, Connor Daly, Jack Hawksworth, James Hinchcliffe, and of course, Graham Rahal and Spencer Pigot as well, all spending time in Pro Mazda before moving on, of course, into the Verizon IndyCar Series. The Mazda-powered Tatuus PM-18 that you're going to see shortly will kind of raise the series standard for the next 5 years, and will replace the venerable Elan-built chassis that debuted in 2004. So for the first time in a number of years, we're going to have essentially 3 brand new race cars as part of the Mazda Road to Indy. Dan, let's get started with you. I know you have some thoughts and you're very excited about this new race car. Let's first talk about how pleased you are with the Tatuus USF 17. We've had some great testing. The feedback has been amazing on that first race car.
It certainly has, Rob. Thank you very much. When we embarked on this update program for the USF 2000 and Pro Mazda Championships, we selected Tatuus as the manufacturer of both levels with a concept in mind to deliver a superior open-wheel race car than has been seen in these levels of racing around the world. And they've delivered in spades. I mean, they really put out on the USF 17. The teams, the drivers love the car. It performs flawlessly. The comments I've heard is what a tight car it is. The brakes are unbelievable. The engine's fantastic. I don't know that it could have been a better debut. And we're always worried about bugs, but there were very few. We've sorted out new car issues, minor issues that have come along, but Tatuus has been an absolutely excellent partner. And this car that we'll see today is a step up. I didn't know that they could do better than the F2000 car. I kind of wondered if this was going to be a little bit of a disappointment, but it's not. This car is really cool.
How do you think the new PM-18 is going to help shape the future of the Pro Mazda Championship?
Well, our whole ladder is designed to train drivers and advance their abilities and their experience as they move up the ladder. This car adds some aero elements that the F2000 doesn't have: bigger tires, way more horsepower, limited slip diff, things like that. It allows the driver to develop their engineering abilities, which is very important as you move up the ladder. There's more things to play with, more ways for the driver to learn how to set up a race car, which is such a critical skill. So I think it fits in nicely. The champion from this series goes into Indy Lights, which is another quantum leap forward, but that's the way the ladder is designed. It's intended to take a kid as young as 14 in F2000, and by the time he gets to IndyCar, he's got all he needs to know.
Let's move on to John Doonan. Thank you very much, Dan. John, Mazda has done more than any other manufacturer to move kids and drivers through the ranks up the ladder system, and thank you for that. What are your thoughts on what it's going to mean to that program, the program you guys have, the whole Mazda Road Indy, to have three, essentially the most advanced racing packages available right now, all brand new cars. What are your thoughts on how that's going to kind of affect the Mazda Road Indy and how we develop drivers?
Well, thanks, Rob. First of all, thanks to everyone for being here today. This is another big moment in what we have been doing together with our partners at Cooper Tires, is try to provide a platform that simply doesn't exist anywhere in the world. And clearly, as Dan stated, our goal is to provide platforms at each step on the Mazda Road to Indy that give drivers the chance to be ready for that. And the Verizon IndyCar Series, we believe, is the pinnacle of open wheel racing. And without a doubt, you've got close to 80 drivers, I think, at some point last year that want a piece of that. And along the way, we've seen it as our duty to give them every chance they can to, as Dan said, work with engineers, learn aero, work with a reliable power plant behind them, all the Mazda powers every step of the ladder. So we're really proud of it. I mean, candidly, the car that we're saying goodbye to at the end of 17 has a rich history, and so part of me is amazed that car lasted. You know, now it's going to be its 13th season, but clearly it's time to move forward with the technology. Every one of the cars now is everyone says it's more beautiful than the last. So we're really proud of that and very excited about the competition and what's in store for us.
Let's deviate just very quickly. You guys have just recently held a couple of very highly successful shootouts. The Mazda Road to 24, and just concluded yesterday the $200,000 Mazda Road to Indy Scholarship Shootout at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. Obviously, huge programs. Can you talk about those programs, the Mazda feeling about them, and what they do to kind of give opportunities to young drivers?
Well, it was tough for me. I wasn't able to be there in Monterey at Mazda Raceway the last few days. I was actually in Japan, and the statement about what's happening with the Mazda Road to Indy and that trip to Japan are tied together. The level of excitement within Mazda about what we're doing relative to driver development at the Mazda Road to Indy level and the Mazda Road to 24, I don't know, I'm a little speechless, because the folks in Japan, the folks here in North America are just over the top about what we've been able to put together. The number of countries represented, and Scott just did a red-eye bonsai to get here from Monterey, but you got drivers from 20 different countries coming to the United States in the name of the Mazda Road to Indy or the Mazda Road to 24 because this system exists. And you know, it gives me chills every time I talk about it, because you know, we have a rich history in motorsport. You know, Le Mans winning, terrific sports cars history. We're making history now. We're writing the next chapter. And I think that's what's exciting, to see the young men and women that have come trying to make it in the sport, and to be able to give them that system. I don't know, I just, you know, 30 years down the road, I hope people look back and say, boy, Mazda, Cooper Tires, Andersen Promotions, IndyCar, they really etched themselves in the history books of the sport.
You know, I think one of the things we always talk about, the fact that you look at the Indianapolis 500 grid, and over 75% of that grid came from the Mazda Road to Indy. I think that talks about what we're doing and developing drivers that are going to be essentially stars of the future.
Yeah, and I think you said it when I walked in this morning. You know, you looked at the photo of those drivers standing on the front straightaway at Mazda Raceway. That's IndyCar 2020. Exactly. And couldn't be more excited about that. We have stuck to the strategy. Several folks said open wheel racing was broke in this country, but we're, I think, quite excited about exactly how it looks right now.
John, thank you so much. Folks, the car in front of you here, the Tatuus PM-18, is actually quite a unique machine, because the base itself actually comes off of the USF-17, the same chassis, the same monocoque. Let's move down to Scott Elkins. Scott, can you tell us a little bit about some of the enhancements on the PM-18, developing off, of course, the baseline of the USF-17?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rob. First of all, I just want to say thanks to Dan Andersen and Michelle Kish for giving the opportunity to everyone to do this project. It's been incredible. Cooper Tire and Mazda, we couldn't do it without those guys either. It's really unique. John said it, Dan said it, it's mentioned a couple of times. I'm pretty sure this hasn't been done in the history of motorsports, where you could buy a race car to race in a particular series and then effectively change roughly 10 to 12 different parts and move into the next step and compete effectively. The USF 17 so far has been really good. We're really happy with the results of it. It's been a great car, but now, and once the cover comes off, I think it's easy for people to look at a few certain things. So the wings, the engine cover, the diffuser, those are the obvious things that we've changed on this car to give it more performance. The guys at the lead engines have a really, really nice new engine, actually based on the USF engine. Yeah, it's a work of art. It's the same engine, effectively. Higher horsepower, more aerodynamics. So the drivers are really going to know the difference, the performance level. Our simulations, I'm not going to tell anybody what the sims have said, but the simulations have been putting us in the position of where we need to be between the USF 17 and the IL 15 in a perfect place. So it's going to be good.
Can you give us a little insight into some of the prototype testing, speaking of doing simulations, and when are these cars going to be delivered to the team owners?
Well, we always work on the delivery schedule of Mr. Andersen. So the things that I say.
He wants it yesterday.
He wanted it yesterday, yeah. And Steve and I both know from Elite Engines we can't do it yesterday. But right now the plan is to start testing this car sometime mid-March, between mid-March and mid-April, with the intention of delivering cars quite early, actually, around June, July timeframe. The car we see today is actually our USF 17 test car that we've converted ourselves. So we've actually done the work that a team would do in regards from going from a USF 17 into a PM-18. So that's what this looks like when you do it.
Dan, back to you. Obviously a transitional year for Pro Mazda as we await the debut of this car in 2018. What incentives have you guys put in place to kind of maybe support and pump up the excitement for Pro Mazda here in 2017?
Well, frankly, the Pro Mazda grids have been a little bit challenged in the past year or so. Mazda has very generously stepped up and significantly increased the prize package for a Pro Mazda champion. In addition, we've set up some tests for the top 3 drivers in an Indy Lights car, and the Rookie of the Year in Pro Mazda will receive a Mazda street car. So the prize package, which was already good, has gotten way better. Coupled with that, we have reduced the schedule to bring the budgets down so that the proposition of racing Pro Mazda in 2017 cost-benefit analysis is very strong. You can win way more money than you're spending to go racing in this level. And we did that for a reason. We know this is kind of a lame duck year for the existing car. There are cars out there. We need to get them on the grid, get the championship continuing and getting stronger. We expect this new car will do what USF 2000 new car did, which is bring some new teams into the series. We need more teams in the program. We expect that will happen with this car, and 18 should look very good. But 17 is something we're working on. I think we've got a good package.
Dan, John, Scott, thank you so much. Head on down here. Let's have a time to take a look at this beauty. We'll get the gentleman down here. We'll get things underway. These guys are experts, but not with microphones. In addition to unveiling the car itself, Chris Pantani is going to join us here as well. Dan will get in the back. We also have the Knapps, Steve Knapp and Logan Knapp will unveil the cover of the new engine as well. While we're getting in position, folks, I do want to thank all the people that have been involved here as well. Of course, Steve and Logan Knapp from Elite Engines, Derek Dong from Performance Friction, Craig Peccinino from Radio Communications, JP Hayden, Leanne Singletary from Royal Purple, P.O. Sajanowicz, Thomas Buckler, and Ethan Duncan from Cosworth. Kirk Scalfo's here with us as well from Tilton, Greg Brzezinski from Carl Haas Auto, and Kelly Falls from Hyperco. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this right now. Let's meet the new next generation state-of-the-art Mazda-powered PM-18. Guys, do me a favor, pull off that cover. Ladies and gentlemen, there it is, the brand new Pro Mazda Championship presented by Cooper Tires car for 2018. get you have a chance to come in and have a good look. And of course, you have a chance to talk with all the people that are involved with the program as well. But it's just an absolutely beautiful race car. Over 100 horsepower, more than the USF 2000 car. You'll see debut here this year in 2017. This is going to be a fantastic race car. When we roll it out, and we'll find out what drivers step up to be part of it. Got some pictures taken. Let's bring our partners in here as well. The partners are here with us. We want to get a couple photos behind here. So Kirk, come on in. Bruce Hendel from VP Fuels as well. If you're here, one of our partners, please come on in here. Scalfel from Tilton. It's a gorgeous race car. Once again, folks, our panel and our partners will be available for one-on-one interviews. Of course, all of our drivers in USF 2000, I'm sure they'll be drooling over this car throughout the weekend because they definitely want to be in it in 2018. We'll see which champion from 2017 will drive the Soul Red car, the Mazda Road Indy Scholarship driver. Chuck already wants to fire it up, of course.
Take a look at that engine. Oh, yeah.
Again, the new engine that will go in the car available as well. We do want to take the opportunity to thank each and every one of you that come out here to be part of this unveiling here today. Of course, all the media as well. Just a beautiful race car. And again, as we start the 2018 season, just over a year away, we will have essentially all brand new equipment in the Mazda Road to Indy, of course, the IL-15, the PM-18, and the USF-17.
No amateur photographers.
Come on, John, do the selfie.
Not registered to the, yeah, I won't.
Yeah, if we pull out a selfie stick, we'll just
Yeah, we can do a selfie. Not much.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much for being here for the unveiling of the Tatuus PM-18 gorgeous race car that will debut, of course, the 2018 season of the Mazda Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires. Thank you so much. We'll have the car on display at our booth just down the hallway. We'll have that here throughout the weekend. Feel free to come by, have a good look at it. We'll have the engine there as well. And once again, thank you very much for joining us here for the unveiling of the PM-18. So are you? A long time. I like the tires. The cameras are on. That's what you always say to me. The cameras are on.
How many did you buy?
All have to be patient.
And they said I couldn't have it for the show.
Thank you so much. I didn't know if we had handos. I thought, oh yeah, everything's digital nowadays. You know?
Get in there.
Yeah, exactly. Can't take you out of it's fine.
We've got got drivers that were in the series last year that have not yet raced IndyCar who are looking for it right same block.
All right, guys. I'll see you later.
Diane. I need to ask John to. We have staff, don't we? We do. Okay. I don't know if they're the right size though. It looks like it's the same. Okay. Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's always a concern if it's a team, especially the good news is that 3 of our other teams are all expanding, so I think we'll end up with about the same cars on the grid. But I'd like to see Samson back. He's a great competitor and he's been a real asset for Indy Lights for 5 years.
Are you surprised that Carlin hasn't made a splash in the IndyCar?
I think he will. He's not sure when, but I think he will.
How much is this going to cost?
This car, I think the pricing information is not there. The roller is, I think, $61,000, which is actually a bargain for what it is. The engine is over $30,000. All in, you're about $100 grand for the whole Yes, yeah, but they'll be testing in the summer of 17. Teams will be delivering to teams. We're testing, prototype testing. Hey, Greg.
It's going to be, I honestly don't want to. I've seen the numbers twice, and it just hadn't been on that level of worry about it.
Let's find out.
I got the order forms down there.
Oh, you do?
I take you.
I might get we more time.
Okay, it's over. I think we have to go to King's Opportunity.
Get the right one.
Most of the cars we do, the logo mods will be over the
Well, let's grab what we have.
when we get it over here. I'll do it.
Okay, no problem.
You know, that actually may fit that space.
If you take the Tatuus,
Yep.
take the Tatuus out, we can.
And we have another Tatuus.
Yeah, we just need to figure out where the Tatuus is going to go.
Let's go right there.
It's a little jammed up. So everybody's like, let's hold on a second. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, that works. Let me go get it.
No problem. Put it on the